This is music, and this is a bunch of first impressions from Down Under. Welcome to another first impressions video. In these videos, I normally share with you my first impressions of the many blind buys that I pick up, but this is a follow-up first impressions video because I was lucky enough to be one of the two winners of Tech from Down Under's contest that he held earlier this year, and I was lucky enough to be the winner of the CD package. Go and check out Attack from Down Under. Great channel. If you like vinyl community content, if you like CDs, cassettes, vinyl, of course, and if you like metal and hard rock, he's got you covered. Great channel, great guy. Check it out. So, yeah, I won the CD package. I've now had the time to listen to the CDs, and I will share with you my impressions of them in this video, starting with some death metal. Autopsy, Macabre Eternal. So I think it's safe to say that Autopsy, yeah, it's a legendary band, kind of pioneers, uh, part of the early death metal scene. Their style is kind of more slow and simple, slow to maybe mid-paced. Sometimes you have some fast parts. Some people say it's death doom. I would not consider it doom, but whatever. And they play that style on this album too, although it's a more recent album. Slow death metal with some up-tempo parts, never really super blasty though, I would say. Just great old school death metal riffs, a lot of mid-tempo stuff too. Great songs. This is a fantastic album musically. The vocals work for me I would say like 50% of the time, let's be honest. 50% of the time, the vocals work for me. And that's when they go for just old school barky death metal growls. But they also try other styles of harsh vocals, and they don't work that well for me. I think an example of a song that is kind of ruined for me by the vocals is Dirty Gore Whore. Uh, but yeah, the lyrics are kind of silly. I mean, it's your gore and body horror and undead zombies, torture, violence, all that stuff. Uh, and that's just part and parcel of a lot of death metal, silly as it is. But it also seems like these guys may have some mommy issues or some ex-wife issues or just women issues. And that's all very silly, but musically, this is a great death metal album. The production is kind of modern sounding, and that might put some people off, but I don't have a problem with the modern production. Yeah, the vocals sadly don't work all the time for me. The lyrics kind of silly, but overall, it is an enjoyable death metal album for sure. Some Cathedral, Carnival Bizarre. I was about to say some doom metal, but I don't think this is a doom metal album as such. Their debut album is a doom metal classic. It was some of the slowest music I had ever heard at the time when it came out. Uh, then on their second album, they changed the style. It was still doom metal, I would say, but it was much more inspired by stoner rock and uh, 70s hard rock and stuff like that. And that's the style they explore even more on this album. So there's a lot of yeah, like did it did it did it did it did it did it did down wow, that kind of riffage on here. A lot of the almost too much if I'm being honest, but also a lot of Black Sabbath inspired riffage, the more melodic side of Black Sabbath back in the Aussie days. Um, it sounds like Lee Dorian is trying to sing melodically in some of the songs, and he actually succeeds. But that adds just kind of a hard rock vibe to this. The guitar tone is really heavy though, um, and for the most part, this is a fun album. There are two straight up doom metal songs on here, I would say, and they are my favorite songs on the album. I can't remember the titles, but overall, I consider this to be more of a stoner metal hard rock album, just with a very heavy guitar tone. But I enjoyed it much more than I thought I would, so that's great. It's not my favorite Cathedral album. It's the two first ones, but I enjoyed it more than I expected. Now we have this one here. This is Cognitive Dissonance by Not Gored. It actually says Extorted, but I keep thinking it says Gored too. This is fantastic. This is thrash metal uh, with a lot of Chuck Schuldiner worship going on. So it basically sounds like, yeah, thrash metal band playing like latter half Death when they were more of a progressive band, um, inspired death thrash, if you know what I mean. This is absolutely fantastic. The vocals sound a lot like Chuck Schuldiner, but with influences also from Teutonic thrash. Nothing wrong with that. Musically, it sounds a lot like it's inspired by symbolic, human, individual thought patterns, Sound of Perseverance, that era, uh, but with a good dose of thrash in it. And you have a couple of almost like blasty parts every now and then too. There's also a little bit of Teutonic thrash metal in the music as well. This is great. If you like thrash, if you like death thrash, if you like aggressive death metal, if you're a fan of death, this is worth checking out. A lot of Schuldiner worship, but I don't have a problem with that. I love every single second of this. This is a fantastic album, or maybe a mini album. I don't know. It's pretty short. Great stuff. Worth checking out. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. Okay, now we slow down. This is proper doom metal. This is Mansion Second Death. This is very slow. It's kind of minimalistic, but also very bottom heavy. Super heavy guitar tone, super heavy bass tone, but it still sounds kind of barren. Very oppressive. Uh, like doom metal should be, right? So that's a good thing. This is really good stuff. The vocals remind me a little bit of the lady from Devil Seed. Uh, just not as dark as the lady from Devil Seed. She has a very dark voice. Um, very heavy stuff, very barren sounding, not as lush as a lot of more like epic doom metal. The songs are kind of long though, and it sounds like maybe the lyrics deal with some Christian themes. I'm not sure, I haven't really checked it out, but this is really dark and heavy doom metal. If you are too happy and you want to bring things down a bit, listen to this. Uh, it's a great doom metal album in any case. Now we got some more death metal. This is Undeath, and as far as I can read, it's still called More Insane. So this is, I would say, this is modern death metal, leaning towards the technical side of things without being, the kind of technical death metal that you don't even want to listen to. It's actually not super technical, but it leans in that direction. Has a very modern death metal guitar tone and production, but they pay their dues to the more traditional style of death metal. But it's not traditional death metal. You know what I mean? It's not old school. Great stuff. This is fantastic because, yes, it's modern. Yes, it's mildly technical, but they pay a lot of attention to a lot of different details and impressions. Like you got brutality, you got some blasty bits, but not too much. You got melody, you got groove, you got a lot of different things going on. And it works extremely well in pretty much all the songs. The vocals are also your more modern style of harsh vocals, and it's great. It works perfectly. There are a couple of pig squeals every now and then, and whenever they do that, that just takes me completely out of the song. It's too grating. I just hate that singing style. I can't stand pig squealing. I don't know why people think sounding like a pig is brutal, but maybe they haven't seen Deliverance. Apart from that, this is a fantastic death metal album. I think it kicks ass. It slaps. Awesome stuff. And last, we have classic here, the first Van Halen album, which I had never heard before. I heard some songs from it, but I had actually never heard this before from beginning to end. And I think this is an interesting album. I think it's a mixed bag for me, and that seems to be the case with pretty much all the Van Halen stuff that I've picked up. I like some of it, and some of it doesn't really do it for me, and that's the same thing here. Starts out, of course, with Running with the Devil, which is a classic song, and you have that awesome opening bass line, but then the song itself is kind of mediocre, if I'm being honest. Um, and then, of course, you got Eruption, fantastic guitar solo, and I can imagine how back in the late 70s, Eruption would be completely mind-blowing. I don't think anybody had ever done anything like that on a guitar ever before that. So that's fantastic. Interesting that they choose that as the second song. It's interesting. I don't think Running with the Devil is a great opening track apart from the opening bass line. Um, and Eruption has an opening that's kind of an explosive opening that would have been great to start the album out with, but it's a guitar solo. Uh, and then you got You Really Got Me. I don't know. It's okay. I think Ain't Talking About Love. That's a fantastic song. That's a should be a classic. It is just an outstanding hard rocking heavy metal song. And I don't think you had heard a lot of people back in the day do that style of riffage either. I think it's a groundbreaking song. Atomic Punk is fantastic too. That's excellent. And yeah, I quite like Little Dreamer too. And you also have some kind of hit or miss songs on here. Um, I've said before I'm more of a Sammy Hagar guy. I think the vocals on here are great in some places, but for the most part, it just confirms why I'm more of a Sammy Hagar guy. But yeah, this is a great album. I'm super stoked that Keith included this in the price. I'm glad to have it, and the songs that I like on here are songs that I really like. This is a classic, and it makes sense that it's a classic if you listen to it. There's a lot of stuff here that I don't think anyone had heard before this album came out. So yeah, there you go. My impressions of this nice stack of CDs that I won in Keith Tech from Down Under in his contest earlier this year. As always, go and check them out, see if you like him. Thanks for watching.